Thank you and good morning all. Before we dive into everything, I would really like to take the time and thank the organizers of this event for having us over and giving me the opportunity to speak about something that I'm very passionate about, and I hope I can give some of this passion to you guys, and you're going to get started with Swift on the server as well. So, from idea to production, this is a story that I want to share with you guys this morning. Who am I and why am I going to tell you this? Well, my name is Stolk, and like many of you, I think we're all engineers. I'm an engineer. I work at this large financial institution. It's a bank. It's not scary. We still do cool stuff. And for the past 7 to 8 years, I've been working on solely mobile application. I was a mobile engineer, and I've gotten the opportunity to do something that I really like, the idea that I have. So what is this big idea, and why am I here standing on this stage to tell you about my idea? My idea is called Banking of Things, and I'm not doing this alone. We have a great team of 15 people now, and we are working on it. So I think it's best explained with our vision. So what is our vision? We want to be, Banking of Things wants to be the global standard for IoT transaction. We really see IoT devices popping up everywhere. I think, like you guys all see, I don't have to explain it to you that your toaster will even be connected in the near future. Your car is an IoT device on wheel. Your fridge, it might or might not order the milk any day soon. By 2020, we will have around 20 billion connected devices, and even if this ridiculously large number is a couple billion off, it's still a very large number. Our mission is to get into a fraction of these devices, and then, well, we still have a very large market to cover. So I want to dive into the what. What are we exactly building and what are we doing? And after that, I'll explain to you guys why we made the decision to go for Swift. So let's take a couple of obvious examples. I think that the car is an obvious example. Some of you guys have a smart car with smart software. Our idea is not to add hardware to this car to make it do payments. No, we want to add software to that car to make it do payments. So we're going to finally supercharge your car and make it Banking of Things ready. We're going to do the same with your fridge, because in the near future it will order the wine when it's out. And I think that's important. Many of us most likely already have connected lights, Philips Hue or whatever you have. We want to make them connected, and well, we want to enable them to do transactions. And then you might think, why? Why are my lights going to do transactions for me? And there are a couple of different reasons for that. And I'm going to try to explain why. From all of these devices, your car, you can imagine that it has cellular connection, Wi-Fi, maybe Bluetooth. Well, for your fridge, Wi-Fi, maybe Bluetooth will do in the near future. And your lamp, I don't know, Zigbee, some other protocol, just Bluetooth. But the point that I'm trying to make is that not all these devices will be online and connected to the internet all the time. So we want to connect them to each other. And they, scary thought, they don't necessarily have to be your own device. Your fridge can talk to the car of your neighbors. If your fridge decides it needs to order something, it needs to make a transaction, and it doesn't have an active internet connection, it will ask the car of your neighbors, for example, hey, could you deliver this package because I really want to go through and I really want to order the milk because the baby needs milk in the morning. And this is what we call the gossip grid. We want to enable all the devices to talk to each other so they're online in an offline situation. I don't know how many of you know this. The conjoined triangle of success, we have something similar. Our entire setup, our entire ecosystem is based on our triangle of trust. And I think it's important to explain it briefly what it is. So let's take that case of the fridge again. We enabled it with our SDKs. What we do is we create different kinds of software SDKs which developers like yourself can embed into their own hardware and make them Banking of Things ready. And once that's done, we need an end user. So you're a maker, you're a Samsung, you enable the fridge, you need an end user, which is, well, Alice in this case. She needs to download our application and connect it. So what will happen if she does it? She pairs her fridge to her application, and it's important to note that this application is not an application to control the fridge or set options or anything. No, it's just to enable it for payments. And you can do that using our companion app straight from the App Store, or we give the ability to enable our mobile SDKs into, for example, Samsung Fridge apps. Once we've done that, we know two things. We know the customer through a very thorough KYC process, and we know the device, know your device, via a thorough process there as well. And once that triangle is achieved, we can securely communicate through all parties, and we can enable the fridge to do autonomous payments on your behalf. Enough about that, because this is just one use case that you can do, and the idea behind all our software and everything that we build is that we are not going to come up with the use cases. It's you guys, the makers, and the enterprises that need to come up with the use cases, and we want to enable them to achieve what you want. So I don't know if there's anyone in the room who knows what this is, but it's a mobile launching platform from NASA. And I think it's a very good analogy to show what we are building at the moment, because over the past 15 months, we have been building this platform. Well, not this platform, but the software platform. And the beauty on this platform is, it doesn't really matter what they are going to launch, if it's this rocket, that rocket, or heck, maybe even a car like Elon did, right? We will be ready to launch everything with our software. We're basically building blocks. Not everything that we build might suit your correct needs at the moment, so you can really mix and match. Take the Swift SDK or use a Node.js SDK. Use our companion app or build your own. Everything is possible with our software. So just to give you a little bit of a high-level overview of what we've been doing, and I'm not saying that this is written in stone, but at the very bottom part, you see like the foundation layer of our platform. It's the backend where most of the things are communicating to. It's a very monolithical approach. At the moment, it's a deliberate choice, and I'll dive into that later. We've built all of our REST APIs on top of Kitura, and I will motivate that why we did that. On the top right, you see our SDKs, which we want to give away to everyone. They're open source, public on GitHub. We've written them in Swift, Node.js, Python, and C. This way, we believe that we can at least cover a wide variety of different hardware. On our top left, it's a little bit odd. We started this journey like 15 months ago, and we started with a very small team, with just 2 developers. Before we knew it, we had a couple more developers, but the demand was higher than we could develop, so we had to do something. I had this vision, and I still have this vision in mind, that I want to build, well, most of the things in Swift, also my HTML templates, but just solely due to time, we couldn't do it. I had to hire other people, Angular guys, great developers, and they are now developing our portal in Angular. But this is something that we might want to revise and bring everything back to one backend. So our developer portal, I'm just going to talk you briefly through it so you have a little bit of a sense and an idea what it is. Our developer portal is for you, it's for makers. You can create actions and triggers there. To oversimplify it again, a trigger is, we're out of milk. The action is, order milk. And that's exactly what you can do in our portal. So the first encounter that you will have in your own project is go to our website, log in with your GitHub account. Super easy. Create an action. In this case, someone is creating an action for a monetized ringing the doorbell. I don't know why you want to do that, but it's possible. And once you've done that, everything will be synced automatically to all your connected IoT devices, and you have a perfectly good dashboard to see all of your statistics. I already mentioned that we're fully open source, fully transparent. You can get everything from GitHub. So I really encourage you to do so. End users. I think end users are the motor for our product, because without end users, we can't do anything. It's like creating an application that no one will ever use. So an end user will download our application. It will do a quick sign up. This is the KYC process I talked earlier about. It will do a 1 cent transaction later on to give access to their bank account, because, well, if we're going to order something for someone, we very much need to know where we're going to get the money from, of course. Once we've done that, we are very sure that the customer is the customer, and we feel very safe to enable your device to do autonomous transactions on your behalf. In this case, the connected doorbell. So this gives you a little bit, I hope, a little bit of an idea of what we are doing and what you can do with our software, because the possibilities are really limitless, and it's, well, our own mind that sometimes stops us from thinking about the next use case. Swift, because that's why we're here. Why did we use Swift on the back end for such a large product, for such a large institution? Well, I can talk about how performant it is, how little CPU usage it is. I can talk about how low the memory consumption is compared to, well, its bigger brothers, Java, etc. I stole a different slide, and I really like this one, talking about developer happiness index, coming from the mobile world, working on Swift, wanting to work on Swift always, because it's, well, as we saw a couple talks earlier, just a one-liner and it just works. Well, all of these things are very valid. It does use very little memory. Yes, we are very happy as engineers to be able to write Swift on the backend, but these are not our main reasons. They are valid. So what was our motivation? Why did we choose to use Swift on the backend? I quickly already mentioned, I worked as a mobile engineer for the last 10 years. I'm working on mobile apps for 10 years. 8 of them I spent at ING. The second Swift came out, we embraced it, and we dived into it, not even when it was open source, but before, and we just loved it. The verbosity of, well, Objective-C, I think like many of you, I love the brackets everywhere. Perfect. We could do whatever we want with it. But, well, Swift was next level, and we decided to bite the bullet. Everyone said, most of us said, including myself, it might not be production ready when it comes out, but we decided, well, to give it a try. So in our mobile banking application, we wrote a very, very tiny feature in Swift, deployed it to production, monitored it very carefully, and, well, from that moment kind of on, I knew that we did the right thing. Not knowing that Swift 1.2, 1.4, 2.0, 2.1 came out and everything was broken again. But well, we recovered from that, and I think that we reached the point where we're kind of stable now. So talking about reusability, that is one of the biggest motivations there. Starting with this little startup with just 2 developers, 2 Swift developers, highly motivated, reusability was key for us. Every line that we wrote in the mobile application that was not UI had to be, and this was the idea, reused on the backend. And the same way, the other way around. So we sat down, we talked about it, how are we going to approach this, how are we going to do that? And we figured that we could do it. And we could actually. So this combination for us is a happy combination, and we are going to stick to it. So I'm going to talk about the journey, what we did so far. I'm going to take you back like 15 months ago or so, and it's not every day that you can kind of free yourself up from your day-to-day job. I had 7 teams under me creating mobile banking applications, and then suddenly the next day, I had a clean whiteboard, no team, just 1 other developer, an ID and limited budget. So what do? You look around. What kind of frameworks are there? Who can help me the quickest? Which might be the best investment for the future? And we looked at Perfect, and we loved the simplicity. We looked at Zero, and we really grasped the idea behind it. Really digged Faber, and the founders of it 2 years ago. Awesome what the guys did. And then we investigated Kitura and found out that it was backed by a large enterprise IBM. We did POCs with all of these frameworks. We tried, and we did performance analysis. We read blogs. We get in contact with the creators, and at some moment in time, we just had to bite the bullet and say, heck, we're going to do Kitura in it. And why, you might think? Why wouldn't you use Vapor? Because Vapor has a nice grow path. Vapor 3 is coming out. It's awesome, right? And it's true. But we really liked Kitura from the start. It was a small team, just like ourselves, in a large enterprise, fighting for their, well, existence in a way, or at least that's how it felt to me. We met with them, and it immediately clicked. And I think this click is very important if you're going to do the next big thing. At least I think I'm going to do the next big thing. So Kitura, after digging a little bit around and reading a little bit of blogs about it, we noticed that they have a very good enterprise relationship with Apple, and we really valued it as well, because we believe that they will follow the growth path of Swift with all the versions that are coming out. And you can also really see that in their updates, because none of their updates are breaking previous versions. And this is something that's very important for us, because we just went through the whole drag with Swift, breaking update, breaking update, and with Kitura, this was not the case. So I really believe that these guys are making a good product, and I think if you're making a good product, people can talk about it. And this is not a sponsored talk from IBM, but I dig Kitura. But still, it was a little bit a leap of faith, right? Because Vapor was also really good, and it's still really good. So at some moment in time, we just had to start coding and not second guess our choice. But when you say, Pim, you're not second guessing what you did, how are you sure that the choice that you make 15 months ago is still the right choice? And that is a very difficult one, because it kind of felt like when we made the decision, we had our compass set and we had this vision, we had this team, we had the budget, and we knew where we were going. But I don't know who ever traveled in the woods with a compass. It will get you where you need to go, but it will not most likely be the quickest or the easiest route. So I really felt like Jack Sparrow pointing to that thing you wanted the most. And well, what was the thing that I wanted the most? There was success. September 2017, started with a clean slate, started developing, and we knew that we need to head towards success. We've, well, more or less professionally given up everything for this. And how will we get there? With the support of the Kitura team and Swift on the server, we really felt like we could ditch the compass, and we now had like satellite guidance. The guys really helped us with the initial stuff, I think the important stuff, and I don't really need to explain you guys, but you guys know that that initial project setup is so important, because if you're with two developers, do this, do that, maybe a little bit like that, yeah, sure, and we both understand that we can't really remember in 4 months why we did that. So that initial project setup is really important, especially on the back end, especially when you're going to reuse a lot of code. We talked about that in length with the guys from the Kitura team and within our own team. Being a mobile developer, I suddenly was full stack developer again, because now I could rewrite Swift on the back end, and I had to think about routes. And what were my options? I could do codable routing or not. What was the benefit, etc. These things I really had to familiarize myself with, and there they helped me a lot again. Writing RESTful APIs, we all know that the mobile application we'll build a mobile application in a couple of weeks or months. We'll write an update and we can refactor everything. And it doesn't really matter because the end user will not really know. But in this case, it's different because, well, I knew, forgot, and know now again that APIs last forever. So keeping a couple things in mind, we went with a monolithical approach, and we're contemplating if we should switch to microservices. As I already said, we deliberately made the choice not to do that, and the reason for that is we're a small team. We thought it would give us a lot of overhead and not the desired outcome at the moment. So we structured all of our routes, all of our APIs in such a way that we can split them up as well when the time comes. API versioning, I already spoke about that. Version 1, I don't know. I don't want to go to version 2 any day soon. I don't want to write anything that is breaking the changes and the flows that I made in previous versions. But we also learned that it's near impossible. So speaking with the community about this is really helping us, and I think this is also an important part. If you start writing Swift on the server, if you come from a mobile background, if you're full stack again, it gives you a lot of power. Talk to the community again. Documentation, who needs documentation, right? Well, everyone. Documenting everything was a little bit of a pain. Still in a small team growing, Swift. Who needs to document? We don't. And it bites us a little bit in the ass. We documented our APIs, we documented our shared code, etc. And this was, well, one of our biggest, I wouldn't say mistakes, but drawbacks when we scaled the team. Because everything that I know and the other engineer knew was not on paper. And writing everything that we thought of the last 10 months, well, was not doable. So we had to automate everything. And talking to Chris Bailey, I think, he told us, you know what you can do, guys? With Kitura 2.5.1, you can just automatically generate your Swagger documentation through an open API spec, and it will just pop up in your browser. And I was like blown away. I was like, this is exactly what we need, because here I am defining all my endpoints on paper, what object is going in, how is it mutated, what is going out, wasting a lot of my time. And having such a large company, developing a framework like Kitura, having so much knowledge, so much years of knowledge between those guys, coming up with these things that auto-generated documentation for me really helped me. Middleware is something that is very important. We can mutate all the requests that come in. We can check all the sessions ourselves. We can write all the calls and routes ourselves, but really look out there and see what's already written by the community. And this is a point that I will come back to and in a second. So I think the elephant in the room, the big question, Pim, is it production ready? Really? You claim that you're running it in production. How much users do you have? What's your scale plan, etc.? I can answer all of these questions, but the first big question, is it production ready? And I would say yes, it is production ready. We are running in production with 500 developers at the moment using all of our SDKs. And I will not say that it's without pain. No, it's not. We had a fair set of problems, which I will talk about in a second. But overall, the journey was so good that I would even make it a 2 thumbs up. So it wasn't an easy journey. and we had some obstacles that we had to overcome. And I want to highlight, I think, the most important one for you guys. So the biggest problem was the mentality shift, and it was a mentality shift within our company. I work in a very large organization, which is mainly Java-driven. I had to fight with most of the Java engineers explaining why Swift is important. For them, the slides matter. Low memory usage, faster development, reusability between code, and yes, you can argue with Kotlin, I can also write stuff on the backend, or Java, and I can also reuse it on the mobile application. All of that is true, but we had a little bit of a different mindset because we really wanted to reuse every single line of code. So another big problem was, well, the paradigm shift, and I think I already spoke about that. Being a mobile developer before that, 12 years ago or so, writing PHP was fun back in the day, but I forgot all about it, and I forgot all about APIs, and I had to really relearn again how to become full stack. Production ready, well, we already spoke about that. Yes, it's production ready, but it needs to be production ready for your infrastructure as well. I am running at a couple different data centers at the moment. We're running on IBM Cloud, AWS, and on the ING Cloud, and we're testing them all out because we don't want to be locked to one specific cloud. We want to be able to move our stuff around. And this is the advice that I want to give you as well. Be sure that you can move your stuff around. And another thing, and this was still today the biggest problem, and it's finding the right expertise. I'm so happy to stand in front of you talking to guys that when I show Swift, you guys understand, and you will probably say, hey, you can write that line of code better. And it's those kind of people that I'm searching for almost every day to strengthen our teams. And it's not the guy who can write Swift, but it's the guy or girl who wants to write Swift on the back end and believe what we're doing, wants to work and invest in Kitura, still want to check out Vapor 3.0. Maybe we need to switch or not. It's that single developer who really wants to stick his neck out and say, yes, we're going to do this. And of course, infrastructure. We made a couple of mistakes there in the beginning. I wouldn't call them mistakes, but we had to learn maybe the wrong way. So Kitura init, it really comes with a lot of handy tools. It would allow you to deploy to the cloud very easily. You can run all your stuff on the Cloud Foundry applications from IBM, and it works flawlessly. And it works so pretty good that at some moment in time you even forgot, what are we going to do if the IBM cloud is down? How do we going to migrate to a different data center? Because, well, it's just CF push and it's there. And this was something that we had to rethink half a year along the line, and we had to, well, Dockerize everything basically and make a new strategy. So today, I said earlier already, we wanted success. Did we achieve it? Well, I think we're still pretty much on the way. We've done many pilots with our project. We are co-creating super cool, innovative new features with, for example, big German car manufacturers. We're talking to a lot of cool clients who wants to use our software, and people are already using our software without us knowing it. And this gives us the ability to validate that we are doing is the right thing, and it also helps us to understand that yes, Swift is ready in production. We don't have the downtime. We have the monitoring in place, and we feel very confident with it. So at this moment in time, we're wrapping up our closed community beta. 500 carefully selected developers around the world playing around with our software, and we're almost there. We're almost ready for the world. I think the most important lessons that we learned, was very difficult to choose from because there were so many, and we're still learning every day because this thing is still brand new, and the path is not defined yet. But I think this is one of the biggest challenges that we had, and it's the Swift Package Manager. I thought that if I would write all my code modular and I would push it to different repositories, I could reuse it everywhere. I could reuse it among different backends if I'm creating microservices, and yes, this is true. And I could also reuse it on the mobile applications. And the answer to that, well, disappointing, no, it's not true. It's still not to today. My colleague spoke to the Swift Package Manager team, and we asked them the question, when is it going to be ready for iOS? We really wanted it. It would speed up our development cycle. And we got a very disappointing, yeah, maybe in a couple of years answer. So we didn't want to move away from it because it does its job very well, and we had to find a workaround. So what's working for us is on the backends and all the different instances that we have, just run the package manager and let it fetch all the packages and dependencies that it needs. And on our iOS applications, we use Git submodules for that, and it's still the exact same repository, exact same versions, and that did the trick for us, so it's a workaround for now. And another thing, and I'm not sure how familiar you guys are, but it's kind of like a co-op pod for Swift on the backend, for Vapor, Kitura, Perfect, Zero, whatever framework you choose. The community is writing a lot of stuff. It's writing a lot of cool middleware. It's writing a lot of cool packages, ORM software. You can just use. It's plug and play. You can drag it in and it works. And it is really cool. It speeds up development. But when I drag in an entire MySQL ORM, I'm thinking, why am I doing this again? Because I'm an engineer, I'm a developer, and I also want to create, I want to build something. And at some moment in time, I had the feeling that I was just configuring, well, all of these packages that other people wrote, and they were brilliant one by one, tested, ready code, good coverages. But it wasn't really what I wanted. So the lesson learned here is finding some middle ground between rewriting things yourself with your own ideas and reusing stuff that other people made. And that's challenging, still even to today. So there are cases where we end up checking the licenses of packages that are written, take out the bits of codes that are brilliant, thank the authors for it, and, well, incorporate it in our backend. Sometimes we just don't use it at all, and sometimes we go fully with the package that someone else already wrote. And the reason for that is as well is this, is the dependency mess that you can get. Because if I go with your packages, if I go with brilliant packages that other people wrote, I still need to review every single line of code. As I said, financial institution, we value security a lot. And if we go to production and we're going to enable you guys, your IoT devices to do transactions, you want to be damn sure that what we've built is the right thing and that we're not going to mess it up. So to avoid this, we sometimes rewrite something from the scratch with our own IDs, with our own lines of code, without any dependencies. We want to eliminate as much dependencies as we can, because we need to have that reviewed, code reviewed, secure code reviewed, pen tested, etc. And that really kills our throughput time. So for the future, because as I said, we're in production, we're almost ready for the world. But before we're ready, we have a couple of questions for ourselves, and these are questions that we're still facing. And this is going from a monolithical approach really to microservices. When is the time? We know that we're going to do it one day, but when? When do we need to go and cut up our backend? So I don't think I have the answer for you guys right now, but I will have it soon. And when we do, we will obviously write a long blog about it on the website, so you can tune into that. Another lesson learned, and I already kind of touched this subject already, is containerize. Containerize everything and make sure you can move your stuff around from time to time. If you're comfortable in one cloud, please just also move to another cloud, just to get the feeling of how to do it, and make sure that in the case when you need to do disaster recovery, you can. If you need to go to a different data center, just go with the big ones. Try AWS, IBM Cloud, or Azure. It doesn't really matter. If you have Dockerized everything, Kubernetes to orchestrate the whole thing, it will really, really help you. And also think about failovers. We had instances where, for example, an entire data center in Frankfurt was not accessible for, well, minutes. And in that moment in time, you also want to be able to, or already have a different data center spin up and have DNS failovers for you to help you out there. Coming back to something which is uniformity. It's with a little bit of a heavy heart coming back to that slide that showed us our architectural overview again. Due to the speed that we had to do, we had to deliver, I had to go back for more funding, I have to show results, and this is something that I like to do because we can do it, but it also comes with costs. And the cost is writing stuff in Angular. And standing in front of you guys talking about Angular is not a good thing, because I want to rewrite these things in Swift. I want to serve our website through stencils like Mustache or Stencil. And because I cannot find the right developers at the right moment, Swift backend engineers who want to help us strengthen our teams, write the next big thing, I had to make that decision to go with an Angular front end. So uniformity is very important for us, and this is something that we will keep an eye out for, and this is something that we will do in the future. So far, it's really been a great ride for us. I have zero regrets of choosing Swift for the backend. I already knew from day one that I started this project that I wanted to do it. It was one of my main drivers to start this project, give up my current, role in the organization to do that. And I really think, guys, that if I and my team can do it, you guys can also do it. There is no reason for you guys to check it out through any of the cool Swift on the server frameworks. I really hope, and I really, really hope that any of this inspired you guys and you really want to check out vapor.com or Katira.io and see what these guys are building. Because our framework, we're really going to take it to the moon and back. We're really going to take this thing off pretty soon. And this is what I wanted to share with you guys today. And thanks for listening.